Hey everyone. Okay, so the other day I talked about the importance of gently supporting detoxification and drainage, and that we need to absolutely drain before we detox. And today I wanted to give you some tips and pointers on what you can do at home to gently support detoxification, or actually start the detoxification process by through drainage and supporting those pathways and so forth. So if you didn't see Tuesday's video, then you do want to go back and check that out. We talked about the importance of drainage and detox. A lot of our kids with learning and behavioral difficulties have insanely higher levels of toxins compared to kids who do not have these difficulties. And the big thing that I want to say before I give you some tips and tricks is this is not a race. This is something that takes time. If you have a child who's super toxic, this is not going to be something that's going to be over in a few months. This is something that can take a year, 2 years, and so forth. And if you do know that you have a child who's super toxic, I would recommend working with a practitioner who can fully support you in that process, who is knowledgeable in how to do this gently and safely. If you push toxins out too quickly, it really can spell disaster. So I just want to make that clear. So number one, I'm going through several things and how to support the different drainage pathways that I did talk about on Tuesday. However, or part one of this video. However, just keep in mind that you have to be selective. You're not going to be able to do all of these things. This isn't about incorporating all of the things you can do to, say, drain the kidneys, or all of the things you can do to, improve the lymphatic system or the liver. You have to be selective. So number one, let's start with the liver. That's often one of the big things that we hear about and that people talk about and kind of are aware of in terms of needing detoxification or needing support with drainage and detoxification. So number one, this really starts with food like sulfur veggies such as onions, garlic, leeks, shallots, cauliflower, all that type of stuff. Berries, I'm sure you've heard lots about how berries are packed with antioxidants. So blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, all of that. I do caution, I'm a little bit skeptical how detoxifying berries are if they are covered in pesticides, because they are one of the most sprayed fruits. So I would really try to source those as organic if possible. Otherwise, I can't tell you how beneficial that is going to be in terms of detoxification. The other one is citrus fruits, lemons, limes, all that type of stuff, is very, very good for supporting the liver. A lot of clients in my program, I tell them, have your child drink a glass of water 30 minutes before breakfast with just a squeeze of a lemon slice in there. And lemon's so potent that if someone is really toxic, if we do too much lemon in the water first thing in the morning, they actually might not feel the greatest. So don't underestimate the power of a squeeze of a lemon slice every morning over time. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, all of those super detoxifying. The benefits to those are endless. They go way beyond detoxification. And then bitter greens like arugula, nettle, chicory, dandelion greens, mustard greens, all of that type of stuff. And then other things that are very good for the liver, which you probably might have heard of, are things like beets and turmeric. And then supplements, which I'm going to mention, but you do want to use caution. And again, this is where I say work with a practitioner who can support you in this, because kids are sensitive. And, some of the supplements I'm mentioning, I'll try to mention some of the cautions. But this is why you don't want to just dive in there naively thinking, that this is good for everybody. So milk thistle is phenomenal liver detoxifier. However, if you or your child, whoever's doing the detox, is sensitive or allergic to ragweed, that is in the ragweed family. And a lot of people are okay the first week or so, and then they might break out in hives or start having, histamine reactions to milk thistle. So be aware of that. Tudka is another one. Again, some kids have a reaction to it. NAC, that one is really become more popular since COVID. So that's an excellent detoxifier. It helps to produce glutathione, which is the master antioxidant. You do want to use caution if there is any possibility of mold toxicity, which a lot of our kids have, and we don't know. My daughter was one of them, because NAC will break down the mold biofilms. And basically, we want to do that eventually, but we want to do that slowly because it can make things way, way worse and make someone much, much sicker. So NAC, caution, and it can also cause digestive issues with some people. Glutathione, you can take that liposomal glutathione pure form without having to do NAC. It's a better alternative for sensitive kids, or if there is mold toxicity. Again, with everything, everybody's different. You have to know your child's constitution and level of sensitivity, which we always take into account in our program. So number 2, the kidneys. Again, water with lemon is amazing. Trace minerals, peppermint, cucumber. Big thing is like water with trace minerals with kidneys, just getting enough water, which a lot of us are not. A lot of our kids lose their sense of thirst. And so having to remind them or find ways to get them to drink more water is key. The bowels. If your child is not pooping every day, at least once a day, that's the first thing you need to work on. Obviously, lots of water is going to help that. Fiber, not an excessive amount to start. So just, some amount of fiber to begin with, because if you do too much, it can actually cause constipation, especially if someone's not drinking a lot of water. Fruits, beans, veggies, lentils, all of that type of stuff. Exercise is good for moving the bowels. I love dandelion root tea for moving the bowels, especially if someone has issues with constipation. Castor oil packs. So look that up. My favorite is Queen of Thrones. I'm not affiliated with her, but I love her castor oil pack kit. And that is phenomenal for both liver detoxification as well as getting the bowels moving. And then fermented veggies, just to get some of those probiotics or good bacteria into your child's gut. Lungs is pretty straightforward, but I did want to mention it because we often kind of overlook it as a detoxification pathway. So deep breathing exercise. And then with both the lungs and all things that I'm talking about, always looking at, is there something that could be blocking the detoxification pathway in my child's environment? So are we using scented candles? Are we using, Febreze or any of those types of, aerosol scents that are loaded with chemicals? What is going on in my child's school environment? And then also cleaning and bathroom products, all of that. So the more you can minimize toxins, the better. This is obviously not just about opening detoxification pathways. The first thing to do is to minimize toxins in the environment. So lymphatic system, I'm going to mention some. I don't find I put down dry skin brushing, but I do want to caution, this is not one that's going to go over well with kids who are really sensitive, but it can be really impactful if you do have a child who likes to do it or is willing to do it. Trampoline is honestly one of the easiest things you can do with kids. Again, lots of water is good though, because that is going to really shake up some stagnant toxins. Movement, Epsom salt baths, sauna, massage, all of those are fantastic ways to drain the lymphatic system. And this is really, really critical. It often gets overlooked. Glymphatic system, I just want to touch on that, is the brain's basically drainage pathway. And that the best thing we can do is sleep. There's a lot of layers to sleep. We addressed that in my 6-month program, but looking at the biochemical factors that could be impacting your child's ability to fall asleep and stay asleep is key. And lastly, just keep in mind, our cells are also, we need to make sure we're detoxing those and so forth. We need 7 to 9 hours of sleep for our cells to really do their job. Lots of sunlight is good for our cells and mitochondria. It sounds woohoo, but standing barefoot on the earth helps us to gather electrons. A lot of us are electron deficient, and we need electrons in order to effectively detoxify. So having your child walk barefoot on the earth is fantastic. And basically, as I mentioned, always drain before you detox. So never mind insane detox kits or protocols, or think you're going to be able to detox all your child's toxins in 6 to 8 weeks. It's probably not going to happen. When we start draining and focusing on those pathways and opening that up, we're going to be gently detoxing. And really, this is how we can get to the deeper levels in a safe way without having too much drama in terms of side effects and detox or die-off reactions and all of that type of stuff. So, if you're interested in knowing more about our 6-month program, where we focus on all of the biochemical factors that contribute to learning and behavior, as well as the neurological factors, where we, basically start off with the advanced brain screening and get into brain exercises and all of that, do reach out. I'll post a link to book a free clarity call to learn more about our 6-month program, where we help kids go from basically struggling and just getting by to truly thriving. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a fantastic day.